Good morning. So today we'll continue with Unit 6, Lesson 8, which is based on the area of a circle, area of a sector, and the area of a segment within a sector of a circle. Okay, so today specifically we'll talk about the area of a circle, which we've discussed sometime in the past. Okay. And the area of a circle, whenever we talk about the area of a circle, we're going to refer to the calculation of all the square units, the small square units we have within the circle. Okay, so in order for us to calculate the area of a circle expressed as A, the area is going to be equal to the product of pi, okay, which in this case we'll consider pi as 3.1415 and the square of its radius, which is expressed as r. Okay, so in this specific case we have circle O. The center is represented by O. Okay, and the distance between this point O, which is the center of a circle, and this point B, which is within the circumference of the circle, okay, we've designated as B. Okay, so the distance between the center of a circle and this point B, okay, is defined as the radius, which is expressed as r. So the area of a circle is going to be pi times the product of pi times the square of the radius, which is equal to pi times r squared. Okay, now let's move on, doing some examples, and let's begin with sample problem number 1. Okay, here we need to find the area of the circle. This specific case, we need to leave our answer in terms of pi. That means that we're not going to substitute pi for 3.1415. Okay, so in this case, Fs, which is also equal to the radius, is going to be equal to 4 centimeters. So we have to find the area of the circle. Okay, so we already know that by definition, the area of the circle is defined as the product of pi times the square of the radius, which is r. So what we simply do is we substitute r, which is the radius, we plug in r4, so the area is going to be equal to pi times r, which is 4, and we're going to take the square of 4, which is 4 times 4, it's 16. Okay, so the area of this circle, in this case this is circle F, is going to be equal to 16. Since we have to leave our answer in terms of pi, we just leave it there. 16 times pi, and then the units, which are the centimeters, we're going to square them. Okay, if we have 4 centimeters square here, okay, it's going to be by the law of exponents, it's going to be 4 square times a centimeter square, so it's going to be 16 centimeters square, and that times pi. There we've calculated the area of circle F. Now moving on to sample problem number 2, we also have to find the area of the given circle. In this case, the given circle is circle O. Okay, now we also have to leave our answer expressed in terms of pi. Okay, so in this case, notice very, very carefully, we have to be very careful, because here we are given the distance between line segment points C and D. C and D, of course, it's a chord, okay, taking points C and D, which are on the circle, and here the center of the circle is expressed as point O. So they're giving us here chord CD, which passes through the center. That means that line segment CD is also a chord, and it's also defined as the diameter of the circle. Okay, now as we have already studied, okay, the diameter of a circle is going to be 2 times its radius. That means that the radius is going to be half of the diameter. So in order for us to find the area of the circle, we have pi, because we need to leave our example expressed in terms of pi, but we have to find the value of r, which is the radius. So what do? We simply take the diameter, which is 12, it's given, and we divide it by 2. Okay, so in this case, our radius is going to be the diameter, which is given, it's 12 divided by 2, or 1/2 of 12. That means that our radius is going to be equal to 6 inches. Now what we simply do as our next step, we're going to substitute the 6 inches which is our radius, we substitute it in the equation in order for us to find the area of the circle. So it's going to be pi times 6 inches, and we're going to square that, okay? So the area of circle O in this particular case is going to be 6 squared, which is 6 times 6, 36. We also have to square the measure, which is expressed in terms as inches, in terms of inches. So the area is going to be 36 times pi inches, and those inches, remember, they have to be square because we're looking for, since we're referring to the area, we're looking for the number of the little square units that we have within the circle, okay? Remember, outside the area are all the square units that we have inside of the circle, okay? So the area here is 36 times pi inches, and those inches are squared. Now let's go ahead and move on to sample problem number 3. We have to find the radius and the diameter of each circle. So in this case, it's different because they're telling us that the area of circle K, in this particular case, is going to be equal to 182 feet square, okay? So they're asking us to find the distance between K and H, okay? K and H right here, which is also R. And what is R? The radius, okay? Now, what do we know for this particular problem? Well, we know here that the area is going to be equal to pi times R squared, okay? Now, we simply substitute the area, which is given 182 square feet, is going to be equal to pi times R squared. But we need to find the measure of R. That means that we divide by pi on both sides, and we see on our right side that pi divided by pi is going to be equal to 1. So we have right here, we can see that R squared is going to be equal to 182 square feet, which is the area of the circle, divided by what? Divided by pi, okay? Now we're going to substitute pi. In this case, we're going to use pi equal to 3.1415. So R squared is going to be equal to the area, which is 182 square feet, divided by 3.1415, which is pi, okay? So when we get that, we can see here that R squared is going to be equal to 57.93 square feet. But what happens? We're not looking for R squared. We're looking for R. So whenever we have an R squared, we already know that we have to take that this second power, okay, and we have to multiply that second power by an exponent, which is going to be 1/2. But if we do it on our left side, we do it on our right side. That means that this square is annihilated or eliminated, and that means that R, which is our radius, is going to be equal to the square root of 57.93 square feet. So that means if we find the square root of 57.93, our radius is going to be 7.61. And remember, if we take the square root of the feet to the square, that's going to be equal to feet. So that means that the radius is going to be equal to 7.61 feet, okay? And that's going to be our radius. It's right here. Okay, now moving on to sample problem number 4, it's the same thing. They're giving us the area of the circle. That means that within that circle, which is circle J, we have 368 small square units that are embedded within that circle. So given the area, in this case, we don't have to find R, but we do have to find the diameter, which is the distance from E to F, represented here by chord EF. But remember, in this case, the particular chord, since it's going through the center, it's called the diameter, okay? So the strategy would be, first of all, we know that the area of a circle is equal to pi times the square of the radius. We substitute A, which is given the area. We find R, which is the radius, and what do we do as our next step? Well, we simply multiply that radius by 2, okay? So let's go ahead and do it. It's going to be something like this, okay? we substitute 368 square meters is going to be equal to pi times r squared. Again, in order for us to find r squared, okay, which is our first step, we need to get rid of the what? Of that pi. So we divide by pi on both sides, and that means that r squared is going to be equal to 368 square meters divided by what? Divided by pi, okay? So that means that using pi equal to 3.1415, that means that r squared is going to be equal to 117.14 square meters. But again, we're not looking for r squared. We're looking for r, right? So that means that r is going to be equal to the square root of 117.14 square meters. So that means that r is going to be equal to 10.82 meters, and we simply multiply that by 2 because they're asking for the diameter. So the diameter is going to be equal to 2 times 10.82 meters, and that's going to be equal to approximately 21.65 meters. Okay, so right here you have the answer. So next week we will continue with the area of a sector. Have a great day. Bye-bye.